Right, it's another episode of Hot Take Point Made, aka the show where me and Maui make takes which are vaguely grounded in reason and reality, but defy your expectations by how unlikely they are relative to the fact they could happen. And then Kassad, every time, explains in a really unusual set of euphemisms why actually they're unlikely to happen, but through the medium of our sanity being in question. That's sort of almost like that's like a PhD level description of the show in some ways.
Kind of description, but it's false because the show.
I was even wrong about that. I was even wrong about the intro. My bad. Okay.
The show is called Hot Take Point Made, not Shit Take Point Not Made. It's just we need a difference, you know. You need.
Okay, well, someone
needs to be hot.
Someone out there who's more in love with AI than I am, get on making Shit Take Not Made your version of this show with who knows what the takes would even be. Anyway, also you do notice, guys, am I the only one where this happened once or twice, Maui. At this point in time, I think the whole community, we're supposed to be the irrelevant people who are on the fringes of the community, you know, begging to be part of it. Bro, at this point in time, almost everyone who comes as a guest on Snake and Banter is like, I wish I was on Hot Take Point Made because I'd love to make this hot take. Everyone's become a hot take addict. I saw even Launders, King Launders, the ultimate, which way's the wind blowing? I think I'll set my sails that way. Even he's doing hot takes. He's doing hot takes about Ziwu not being the GOAT. We've actually influenced the whole community, mate. It's mad, isn't it? We've become a phenomenon. It's a phenomenon now.
This is where the whole scene naturally.
It was all Duncan's idea about this show. So let's give him credit for that.
A little bit.
He texted himself, so it's fine.
That's true.
It's all good.
Thorin just pushed the scene faster where it needed to go anyways.
Exactly.
Yeah,
he's just ahead of his time. That's you know.
Yeah.
And Carmack's still trying to pull it back.
Of course. Listen, those are the two forces, order and chaos, Maui. You know, exactly. From the beginning of esports time, ever was that battle taking place, indeed. And until one of us dies, then esports will never be one or the other. It'll always be torn between those two.
Exactly.
By the way,
black versus the white.
I've also pointed this out many times.
The dark versus the light.
And it's literally not a joke. It's literally thanks to Pimp that I had an idea to do this show. Because it was literally the moment when Pimp made that take during COVID, where it's because we were doing the same matches. You know, that was when it literally, every single tournament was Vitality versus Na'Vi versus Astralis with, I don't know, maybe Team Liquid and Furia play a game along the way. When every tournament was the same, I remember Pimp coming up with what I think is simultaneously the worst, but also the hottest take in the history of Counter-Strike, which is when Simple was absolutely 1v9ing. This is before they had Bit, remember, when Flamey was still there. And Pimp's take, if you remember on Blast, was we have to really ask the question, is Simple the problem with Na'Vi? And I remember just looking around well, he's done it. I don't think anyone will ever get a hotter take than that ever in the history of Counter-Strike. So that just made me realise we need a show where you can do that, basically. Where it's actually that's the aim, is to come up with that tier of fucking scalding hot take. So let's do it. Also, by the way, that even shows you how CS changes. Because what's bizarre is, fair play to Pimp, he was actually super reviled at that time for being some hot take merchant. Obviously, Maui's taken that spot now. Actually, Pimp's feels like he's become sort of sanitized. He's just sort of well-liked now, isn't he? It's actually kind of interesting how reputations change, boys.
Pimp will never be truly well-liked. They'll always find a way to hate him.
Okay.
Usually nowadays, it's about just, we get it, you bicycle a lot.
Oh, they're not hating on him for that. Come on.
Yeah.
At least he's actually doing it.
They do. Yeah.
But the thing is, because he's overdone it. He's the healthiest person alive who eats 300 grams. Who eats 300 grams of candy every day, by the way.
Yeah, true.
But it's to get his calories and stuff. He is super healthy. Yeah. He is super fun to work with. I worked with him on Katowice this year. He is so fun. He's not a boring dude. But do they hate him because he's fucking biking all the time? Yeah. Who cares? Just bike your way, out of my fucking way. Just fucking
by the way,
out.
As if to prove the flirting harassment meme is always relevant. If Pasha Biceps bikes, it's the most important and brilliant thing everyone ever done. Yeah. If Pimp does the same thing, it's shut the fuck up, Pimp. No one gives a fuck about you.
But the thing is, Pasha does it once in 7 years. Pimp does it every day, so it's you know.
Yeah, Pasha has his own memes he's running to the ground, like that thing where he pretends not to be able to speak English.
Okay.
Tell you what, it's like Andy Kaufman. He's never broken character on that Maui. It's weird. Even, you know what? He's like Daniel Day-Lewis. Even backstage, he keeps up the act. So fucking weird. I know. I don't get it myself anyway.
It's cold probably as well.
Yeah. I saw him reading fucking, a little Sesame Street book or something. I was like, what's going on? So you're really committed to the part. I'll start. And unlike you, pussies. I don't start with the mild take. I'm going to start with the hottest take imaginable. Are you ready for the hot take?
Yes.
In Counter-Strike, in 2025, the worst Tier 1 tournament in all contexts is the Major. Because right now...
Tell us all the context.
There you go. Format. Right? Every other tournament has like BO3s in all the matches, Swiss or double elim, BO5 final. Fucking sick. Most other tournaments, by the way, just use classic ways of inviting teams. By the way, VRS invites for tournaments are better than for the Major. Like in the Major, this is what I don't get. I thought VRS for real was going to be like tennis. And it'd be like, right, there's, 32 teams in the tournament. So the top 28 gets invited. And then you just have like 4 qualifier spots or 4 extra spots for other... No, instead it's like you can be like 13th and miss the Major. And it's like, what? Like stuff that doesn't even make sense. So again, by the way, at a tournament, that doesn't happen at a Blaster and ESL. If you're in like the top 15 or something, you're going to be at the event, mate. I don't even have to worry about that. I'm not going to see you no matter what. So the invites are even better. The format's better. Remember, we still have fucking semi-randomised Swiss. We don't even have the full BO3s in Swiss. We have BO1s in Swiss. Listen, I might think PGL's a banana cup, but that format's way better. I've always said this. Have you noticed? Even though it's not like it's perfect reseeding on best of 3 Swiss, you just don't get bothered in the same way. I always say this. I can handle if someone loses 3 BO3s. If someone loses 2 BO1s and a BO3, now I'm fucking mad, mate. Now I feel like I got ripped off. So I actually think in almost the only respect, as far as I can tell, it's not better, is it's called the Major. That's it. It just has an automatic status because everyone wants to win it for their career. Anything else, by the way, even prize money's not that crazy now. Bro, those PGLs have the prize money in the Major. So I'm not even... This is why I actually told you guys before we went live. I didn't tell you what the take was. I actually think this is one of the best hot takes ever. Because in theory, it's mega hot. But doesn't everyone sort of agree when you think it through? Like, I think it's a pretty good take.
He says like he's the best fucking hot take ever. Like
pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Hit me with
like,
it.
I'll give you that. It's so entangled. Like with like, is it good or bad? Good or bad? It's like there is so many aspects you need to look at it. First of all, you said the format. The format is terrible in a sense that like best of ones, you explained it. We talked about it in previous show. Like 2 best of 1 and a best of 3, and then you are in or you're out. It shouldn't be like that. It's the most prestigious event. We compare it to the Grand Slam in tennis, where it's a best of 5 every game. in terms of sets, right? And so it needs to be changed, and I hope it will be changed by the time we reach Budapest, whatever the next
the second one,
next major is. But there is also a positive side to it, because we have the actual quarterfinals and the semis and the finals. On ESL, you don't have the 4 quarterfinals. You have
the quarterfinals.
And then you have 2 teams. You have the 2 teams, getting directly into the semis, which I hate. Like, there should never be a fucking tournament with that. Why would I get the direct, semis berth, right? There is fucking no way. It should be playoffs. Top 8 teams, you get to play as the number 1 seed against the top number 8 seed, or 2 against 7, or whatever the fuck the seeding is, and then you prove that you need to win 3 games in the arena to make it to the title, to the finals, and finally the actual, trophy. That's the positive side of this major format, as I think all of the majors were like that. They had like 4 quarterfinals.
Yeah, every single one was.
Yep. Yeah, I think so, yeah. So that's the positive side. When it comes to prize money, it's absolutely crazy that like some other events right now, like PGLs, have like more prize money, but
the same.
or the same, but
the
there
same,
is also,
but less teams.
Yes, but there is also sticker money. Like the sticker money is also needs to be like accounted in the prize pool in a sense, right? Because the teams and the players are getting the sticker money, so technically it's the prize money-ish.
Yeah, but even that's flawed, Kassad. Like, one of the stupidest things about the major is, like, now we've got these 3 different stages. So, like, if you skip all the way to the last one, you maybe get way more sticker points.
I agree with you. I agree. I'm just putting out the good and the bad points of the actual format. Like, you have the quarterfinals, but you have these 3 fucking stages of the best of ones, and like, it's not entertaining for anyone.
By the way, though, that's as an outsider, though, Kassad. The problem is, this, pro players hate the 4 quarterfinals. Because you can't make it work. If you do it all in one day, they complain. If you split it up, whoever plays the second day complains, or the first day, there's always a reason to complain is the problem. That's why I get why ESL did that format.
But they have MR12, right? They have MR12, the less teams, the less match length, sorry.
True.
It should be doable if you start at 10.
In theory.
Yeah, it's just, it's doable. Mau is just nodding his head, but I think it's doable because we had games.
What do you have to do? Give you a fucking round of applause or something? Like, yeah, woo, preach, yeah, go.
He wants to say something. He's like doing this passive aggressive, like fucking nodding.
I'm not being passive aggressive.
Fuck you. Like, just say, interrupt me or something. Like,
just don't do this. Just because I said that, you took all the brunt of it. I love it. You didn't say shit. You just sat there. I know.
That's what my wife does when she does it. Just say it.
I'm getting typecast as your wife now.
You're his work wife now. You have to understand that.
I'm getting just my actions. I like the take a lot in general. I like the take a lot. You're listing reasons why it's true too. Like kassad. Like I'm not.
I think that it's entangled. You know, with the good and the bad.
Yeah. The main thing that I think with
also, in a way, I'm also doing the take, by the way, not just to diss the major, but also to big up the other events. Like, mate, I was thinking this with all the BO5s, mate. The joke is there are no banana cups left, kassad. I only call PGL banana cup because they're all the top teams. Aside from that, the rest of the tournament's fantastic.
No, prize money wise, in the format, like there's no banana cups, but Blast is always going to be a shit, and that's why I'm going to call them banana.
Yeah, but here's the thing: it is technically better than the major. It is technically better than the major, though.
What is
Blast?
Blast is better than a major?
Like, not Blast rivals, obviously, but if you do like the Blast Open,
like Lisbon,
that is a better tournament than the major.
It was better. Yeah, it was better. But like, I agree. But they're still like idiots and fucking, what do you call them? Cretins. That's your word.
Yeah, cretin.
Yeah, whatever you call them. Yeah, but that's beside the point. That's another topic that we need. Before Maui makes his point,
okay.
The invites thing, like, it can be way better. The rankings are all over the place. We saw it last year with Imperial Valkyries getting the spots, and like there's whole drama. And is it going to happen again with the Furia female team right now that won the Impact? And it's just then we saw that ecstatic team just a couple of days ago who won like 100K event, a Nordic event. Jumped to 27 like VRS.
Okay.
It's crazy. Like, it was on HLTV News, and I read to it. And if you go through the rankings, you'll see ecstatic. Like, I don't even know who the fuck plays there.
But it's because of the prize money, because they won 100K.
Yes, it needs to be reworked. But all in all, in the major right now, we have the best teams. We have nearly all of the best teams, except like
Game
Astralis that fucked up,
Game EliGE.
and Game EliGE that fucked up, right? That's not the VRS fault. It's just
wait a minute. It is, because VRS also has like regional aspects. So, for example, kassad, if you open that first round of the major, bro, you wouldn't even know that was the major. You would think that was like a tier 3 LAN. It's crazy. Like,
yes, absolutely.
When I first saw that, it was like they did, but at the same time, like,
you have to like. Okay, I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like, here's the difference.
Managed to fuck it up.
Here's my problem, essentially, kassad, is like, it's easier to get into the major if you're Lin Vision than it is if you're Astralis. It just is, That's not the same.
The biggest fuck up of this, like, so-called new RMRs or whatever, like qualifiers,
MCQ
is the fact that they were online. They should never be online.
Yeah,
like, there's so much money involved, and like.
By the way, kassad, I'm with you. If Game EliGE and Astralis had gone to a LAN qualifier and then failed, then I'd say
100% qualified.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Anyway, Mario, go. Sorry, that was my. It's a solid take, though.
Well, yeah. No, I would go as far to say that the only thing now that the major has a chance to do is to besmirch Vitality's streak and their legacy. It's that the fact that if you control F every single S tier tournaments format for the entire season, all 11 tournaments, there's no BO1s at all other than 2 show matches. Like that, which obviously doesn't even count. Yeah. It's just that now what I actually think is extremely possible is in the unlikely chance that Vitality loses at the major, even in the grand final, which would be pretty saddening for their record and everything. Is that people will run defense for the major not meaning as much because of some banana cup format itself.
Especially if they win the next tournament afterwards and they just rock that next one. Yeah, you're right.
And imagine they go on to win 70% of the tournaments in the upcoming season, including a Budapest with a revised format that might include a BO5 grand final or BO3s in the Swiss stage. Like that kind of, if they make that kind of change immediately after Austin, then I feel like a lot of people are going to look at this Blast Austin major and be like, well, because Valve made the rule set, they're going to be like, well, we'll forgive Vitality for losing that one in what was an era as we were all seeing it unfold. I feel like this is going to be. There are going to obviously be the dudes with like the shit-eating grin at the very end of it all. If they don't win Austin, they're going to be like, haha, they didn't win the major, so it all doesn't mean anything. It's like, no, like really any hardcore person that's been watching.
You mean Yanko, right? Okay.
Yanko did have that kind of take though at the end of Dallas that you know it all
exactly like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he did say like it won't matter. It won't matter unless they win the major. It's like I think we can still see that they were the best team and that this is practically as close to an era as we've got.
Here's the thing. I also think what he's missing is I always thought the real problem for Team Liquid was they not only didn't win that major, they lost to the eventual winners and in the quarterfinals. I've always said if they'd have been in the final, I think people might have said it was an era. You know what I mean? If you'd have just lost like only to Astralis in the final, maybe that would be enough, you know?
Talking about Berlin, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is like one thing that people will kind of add to the shit talking of Vitality if they don't win. You see, you got the fucking proper bracket instead of the Paris one, and then you didn't fucking do it.
Oh, that's true.
Blah, blah, blah,
Oh,
blah.
the Zemo discussion. Yeah, true. Yeah. Oh no, God forbid they lose to like Mouse in the first round of the playoffs. Yeah, that'd be the end of the world. Yeah. True. Yeah, it would be.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a really good take. I think it gets ahead of narratives if they do lose in a way, because if they do lose but it's like in a really stupid fashion or something like that. I also think that it's so criminal that their 30 match win streak right now is for the first time ever going to include BO1s on match 31 when none of the tournaments had it before. Like,
and remember, I don't know. Remember this as well. Everyone always forgets this detail. I'm assuming they're using the same major format where you can potentially have two BO1s on the first day too. That's the ultimate chance for Vitality to lose the streak, bro. Because you never know who the second BO1 evens against, do you?
It could be anyone. Yeah, it could be anyone. The thing is, like, I want to ask you, Maui. Fuck, what was my question? Like, what will happen? Like, what do you think about their legacy and the fact that they're the best team or not? If they go through their stage 3 or 2, whatever the fuck they're playing, with a 3-0, get into the quarters or the semis and lose there. Because, like, you can't blame the format because you run through the format very easily, and then you lost in a best of 3. Does that make you still the, you know?
Well, then you can't run defense for them there. That's what I mean. You can't. But if they lose to like I don't know why they would lose to BO1s, because eventually they will have to play BO3s. But if they end up losing in the grand finals in a BO3, or if they lose in a weird way, like if they go down 0-2 day 1 or something crazy like that, I feel like people are not going to be very charitable to them. But I think if you see what happens after the major and they continue dominance, then people are going to give them a pass more than they've given, say, teams like Liquid a pass in the past, just because Liquid didn't go on to keep winning any, really. They didn't win that much after that.
True.
No, absolutely. Okay, who's next?
Should I take the next one?
Go for it. Remember, this isn't going to be a super long episode, so hit us with a good one.
I'm not going to like a plot twist type of thing. I'm going to say that the major in Austin will be the most exciting, most remembered, and the most competitive major that has ever been.
Get ready. Based on what?
Let me start. We have the clear contenders, right? We have the Vitality with the fucking number 1 seed, with everybody expecting major pressure on them.
Yeah.
You know, we have Maus, who is a strong ass team right now. They have problems with Vitality, but not with anyone else. They beat Falcons in the previous. They're not scared of anyone. If they run into anyone in the finals, by God forbid Vitality loses, they might take the thing. We have Spirit, the reigning champions right now. Yes. Well, they are the champions right now.
They are the reigning champions.
They have a superstar of all superstars in Dunk. By the way, I was just last night rewatching some of the Dunk's games. This is fucking ridiculous. What this kid is doing. Yeah. It's just not. It's like not human at all. But that's another point. Then you have, like I said, you have Spirit. The only thing I don't like of it is this boot camp thing. They said like we don't want a boot camp because like what the fuck is that? Who told you that was a good idea? But whatever. That's again another thing. You have Falcons. Yeah, Falcons.
I mean, the joke is, if you really want to know who said it, all we have to do is have Maui go, if this is how Halley sees practice, and then in about 2 weeks, we'll know the answer. So that's apparently how the media works now. I didn't know it myself. Okay, fair enough.
The next one, we have Falcons. Is there anyone here who can say the Falcons cannot win the major?
Of course they can. Of course they can.
Of course they can.
All the
yes.
top 4 teams.
You both were right. You both were right.
I'm even being a bit cheeky on the Spirit one. In theory, they could still win, kassad. Obviously, yeah. I mean, before we know, there's a fucking randomised.
I gotta give you, listen. I gotta give you the fact that you both said that automatically with Mauisnake, Falcons will be like a 7 times better team. True, absolutely, it happened. This kid is like fucking. I was gonna make a hot take that this kid is gonna win the major in the next 3 major because I expect it to be a longer show today, but. The thing is, like, you can see, that these players that you can see in their eyes, they're going to be a champion.
Wait a minute. Like, Maui, this is where kassad was born. He wasn't even supposed to be a coach, a CS player, a Serbian dad. He was born to do this show. Because the joke is, notice the take he just didn't do would have been a shit one. He was going to do the take. He thinks within the next 3 majors, Mauisnake will win one. Like, bro, his instincts are crazy. He accidentally says all the real hot takes, and he didn't say what would have been his shittest take ever. It's like, you know what? You know that Mauisnake guy? I reckon give him, like, I don't know, 3, 4. They'd probably win the World Championship one day. Like, oh, really, kassad? Let's get into that. Anyway, you're right. Put that back on the shelf, kassad. That one's not ready. That one's not ready. That needs some more time in the oven, that one. That's a garbage take.
Listen. Mauisnake, like, you can see that this guy is born to be a fucking champion. Like, in his eyes, in his demeanor, in everything, he's gonna be a champion soon.
Of course.
That puts Falcons in a contender spot.
Yeah.
So those are your 4 contenders. We have never had 4 fucking great contenders in the majors before. Now we come to this, like, kind of surprises. Or, like, Mongols and Aurora. Like, Mongols can go deep in the majors. They can. They went deep in the multiple events. Now, is the major going to be additional pressure? Probably, yes. But they can do it now. They have their experienced team right now. They're not rookies anymore. Aurora... I mean, you saw what they can and what they cannot do. They have no map pool, but they have the firepower. They have, like, all these things. If they adapt to a little bit of their, or like rework a little bit of their game, they will probably be in the playoffs. And they can go deep despite what people think. Deep enough to upset someone. That's what I'm saying. Not deep enough to win it, but deep enough to upset someone and cause like a turmoil and fucking crazy shit. Now we have the X Factor in FaZe. You predicted them to be in the semis, which means that whoever's in the semis might as well be a fucking fair contender to win the whole thing, right? Yeah. It's just 2 games away. With the X factor of Simple, who played well, with Rain coming back into the works after the kid being born and everything. They didn't look bad. It was Skulls who was just playing badly, but that's the topic we'd already covered. So FaZe, without any pressure, can deliver. Liquid on the home soil, I guess that can also be a fairy tale run-ish. Yeah, I mean, home soil, it's 2 fucking Canadians and, 3 Europeans, but still a North American organization, right? And then I guess that's kind of the playoffs. You have your VPs and whatever, but like they're super, super bad. And of course, Navi, right? What can we expect from Navi today or in a week from now when the tournament starts? Can they be good? Maybe. Because they were good before. iTest right now says that they're just shit. They don't like each other. They're getting tired of each other. They're arguing. Probably, some changes already being, talked about. But does that, mean that they're going to shit the bed 100%? Absolutely not. They can just make some upsets too. So right now, I do believe that we are going to have one of the most competitive and most remembered majors ever. That can be compared to whatever is your version of the best major. Boston and maybe Berlin. Not Berlin.
Cologne.
Cologne, sorry, yeah. So it can go up there with it will go up there with those events.
Yeah. What do you think, Maui?
The best part of this major for me moving into it is that we have some of the best and most well-defined tiers for the teams that are heading into it. Like, all of the storylines are incredibly neat moving into this tournament. And I know somebody who's going to love to be contrarian and just say like, I don't see Spirit as in the second tier of teams. Like, basically, Vitality is in the S tier. And then we have 3 teams that are very clearly in that next tier of Falcons, Maus, and Spirit. And then Aurora and Maus are actually the only 2 occupants of the following tier, but you have teams that are kind of that, and so you kind of have 6 teams where we know exactly where they stand, and they're all the top 6. And I think that's always great for leading to really good matchups. The only thing is that because the seeding in the playoffs is going to be off of BO1 swish, which could just lead to total jank, I feel like we might have some really bad first round quarter matchups where, like, if any, the ideal situation is we get in the quarterfinals Falcons, Maus, Vitality, and Spirit all in separate matchups. I think that's kind of like, it would be very bad, for example, if the quarterfinals led to Falcons and Vitality, because I think those are the 2 best teams right now. But if they end up on the, same side of the bracket is one thing, but if they're just in the quarters against each other because both of them end up, because it can happen, you can both be 3-1, 3-1, and then you can just play each other. That would be a shame. And especially imagine they just lose like one of their BO1s to Aurora or like to the Mongols, who just shot really hard in those games. And then you're like, okay, well, now these guys have to play each other in what was supposed to, in my eyes, supposed to be the grand final. But as long as we get some combination of those 4 in the grand finals, and hopefully Vitality is one of them, this is going to just build up so well. I like the X Factor teams you brought in too, like FaZe and Liquid. I feel like those are teams that are kind of lightly powering up. I know Liquid regressed a little bit, but no, I think this one is shaping up so incredibly well. And I'm pretty sure this arena is also like 15,000 person capacity. It's going to be unreal. And that thing's sold out in like 20 minutes, you know? So like people were clamoring to get in their seats. And if it's just any combination or assembly of that, people are going to be there for it. And the thing is also about America right now is that we don't have a team like almost at all. So they're just going to go. Like they should, there's no chance of some like Rio incident where it's like, like Liquid's not playing or NRG's not playing, so nobody's showing up. It's like, no, these people just bought their tickets and they knew that American CS was not going to be in the arena.
No, by the way, on that last point, that's actually a reason why. It's funny, this is where actually sometimes the reality is different from the national stereotypes. So everyone knows, in theory, if you're British, you're supposed to roast the living fuck out of Americans and Germans. But I've got to say, they're actually the best crowds in esports for exactly that reason, which is if they don't have a home team, they will just turn up and be a good crowd for every fucking team there. I can tell you, just like Rio, that happens all the time in League of Legends, mate. If you have an event in like fucking China, then yeah, if the Chinese team gets knocked out, they all fuck off and they don't turn up the next day, and it'll just be like an empty crowd, or like, you know, people just sitting there almost with their arms crossed, not even cheering or whatever. Like, I'll always give it props to the Cologne crowd, and especially American crowds. They actually, like, the Aussies as well, I'll put them as well, to be fair. They always get enthused, they get into it, they understand it's like a day out. And also, you do that thing where, if you're not a fucking child, you can just do that thing, like, I'm sure we all have done this in real sports. If your team goes out, you have a second and a third team to follow, surely. A bit like, I'm pretty sure, isn't that one of the reasons everyone loves FaZe? It's like, if you weren't a FaZe fan, it was always your team after that, though, right? Because you watch them in the playoffs, you watch them do it. I'm with you. Here's the thing. I don't know if it'd actually be number one, kassad, because there have been some amazing majors that were like super competitive, but certainly there hasn't been one for a while, in my opinion. Like, if you look at this last one, there wasn't really a team that should win. There's Vitality this time. It was more like you had some good contenders, but they're all flawed. And the difference is, normally, I would say you only get like 1 or 2 of the categories of, like, you know, the contender, the dark horses, they're like decent teams, but like they're probably very unlikely to win. I agree that we filled out all 3. Like, if I when you were talking there, I did my own little like quick tier list. I agree. I would put, essentially what I would do is I would put Vitality's like S+, Falcons and Maus are like S, Spirit can be S-, and then Aurora, Mongols, and Na'Vi in theory are A, because the bizarre thing there is Aurora and Mongols more likely to make the playoffs. Na'Vi probably won't make the playoffs, but if they did, they could win a playoff game. So I have to give them the same. And then I know what you mean. I put below that Team Liquid and then potentially, you know, in pencil, FaZe. But the dream is that Team Liquid and FaZe join that A tier. And then suddenly we have like 4 teams there, 4 top tier. That would be sick. That's the dream for me. So I'm with you. I think it's mega in that sense. The only one thing that could make it better, and this is where the Vitality streak and the fact that that's like a really compelling story in some ways overshadowed the major. It would actually have been better for the major if Vitality had lost one of these, though. They didn't even have to lose the whole tournament. If they had just lost like a group stage game to Falcons or something, I think that would have made it, or one of the finals. Maybe they lost the first one, the Melbourne one, when they were down like 12. I think if they'd have lost one tournament, it would also have made this one way more hype. Whereas at the moment, it's more like, first narrative is, does Vitality just keep beating everyone? If no, then the rest of them get activated. You know, can Falcons win? Can Spirit fuck around? So in some ways, I do think it'd be more exciting if Vitality had lost once. But Fair enough. It's still pretty good considering I actually do think, in line with what I said about the format, the fact there's no BO5 doesn't it make it more likely a team wins this event than any of the others. Like, that was the problem. I said it at this last one. It's why I couldn't believe people whose take was like Maus would win. It's like, they'll have to win the BO5, you idiots. Like, the difference is Falcons could have got it because it was the semis. Like, the semis is way more likely that Vitality loses. Like, if you see this team, they have the ultimate problem for all the other teams, which is, if you give this team 3 maps, they're not going to sit there and just lose for 3 straight maps, are they? That's just never going to happen. Like, you could maybe get them a map and a half if you get them in the right BO3. So, no, I agree overall. Maui, your take?
Okay, yeah, I could do my take. I just made my top 20 list and like going into the major.
This is for players, he means here, right?
Yeah, for players. I did my top 21 players so far of the year. So
by the way, I'll give you props, by the way. I actually do think, one, I'm amazed HLTV hasn't thought this through yet. Why don't you just have a running power ranking of the top 20 the whole year? Because actually when Maui does it, it's actually way better because it means he's not doing what everyone else does, which is you get to the last 3 weeks and go, who would be 19th? And it takes forever to figure it out. You're actually doing a pretty good... I bet you can keep track of it way better since you do every few months, don't you?
Yeah, roughly. I'm doing it roughly every 2-3 months.
I think that's pretty good. I've checked it a few times. It's interesting.
Yeah, because what I can do is I can just like, I have the last one from a few months ago, but then I look at, okay, what happened in that time,
there you
but then
go.
I also think, okay, the totality of the year too, so you can like weigh those.
And also, you can go back at the end of the year and look at your first ones, whereas that's the hardest thing I always think, Maui. I'm pretty good because I have a really good memory, but everyone's really bad at just remembering the last 3 months of the year, you know what I mean? They always forget the beginning.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people saw this one though, and they're like, "Oh, this is pretty accurate."
Fair enough.
But I feel like I'm kind of like disappointed. There's nothing really too hot in it, except for one thing. I think the one thing that has gotten, I'd say, the most like pushback on it is where I put Apex. Okay, so. You
had him in the top 20 for a start off, so yeah.
Yeah, that's the hot take. Yeah. The hot take is this, that Apex has been one of the 20 best players of this year.
But you had him near the bottom, though. Didn't you have him like 18th or something? He was not quite near the bottom.
I had him 19th. I had him 19th, but I had nobody else I could really put above him. Like, even looking, because I think people are going to think, like, right away that this is like a narrative thing, that it's like, oh, he's the captain of the winningest team. But even if you actually then look at the stats too, he's doing very well versus top 5 teams, top 10 teams, like above a 1.00 rating in a lot of these kinds of matchups and everything like that. And he's also just had some games where he's really popped off. So I think the only other thing I've noticed people are trying to drag him down for is the fact that he's in good positions on CT side. But it's like, you look at some of the star players that are on other teams that you probably rank higher, who are in star positions similar to Apex, and they drop off versus, say, like the top teams. Like, you know, like Senzu and Apex, there's a lot of positional overlap on CT side, like Connector on Mirage. Apex has a better rating versus top 5 teams this year than Senzu. Like, think about that for just a second. Like, Apex is getting better numbers against better teams than Senzu this year, and obviously, well, not obviously, but I wanted to put I put Senzu above Apex for the year, of course, but like versus top 5 teams versus top 10 teams, Apex is doing better. His numbers are obviously also though a little bit inflated because he's on a winning team, and HLTV rating gives you stats if you like stay alive, and you're going to stay alive if you have a better team a lot of the time. And also if you get traded, and like if Rops is running in after Apex, like he's trading him, you know what I mean? Sure. So it's going to boost his numbers and everything like that. But even I'm not, this isn't really a Senzu versus Apex debate. It's that I'm kind of shocked actually how difficult it was to find anybody that would have actually replaced Apex. And I went through like 6 names, but they all just drop off so much versus like top 10 opposition. Whereas Apex is actually, he's actually holding his own. Like he's legitimately holding his own as an individual player in those kinds of matchups.
So is the hot take that Apex is a top 20 player?
Apex is a top 20 player this year.
Kassad, what do you think?
Oh, for me, like, the bigger hot take is this Zontix number 17.
Okay. You can pick it the list in another way, sure.
The thing is, like, I would be less surprised if I saw a fucking alien sitting in my living room, like, after the show than this fucking
like, Zontix can't be a top 20 player.
No, he's not top 20. I didn't say he can be, but he's not right now. Like, why? Based on what is Zontix?
No. Here's the other question. Who should be there instead?
I mean, put anyone. Like,
no.
Device.
All right, Device.
Device?
Device. Okay.
Device.
Oh.
Good. Good enough? There we go.
Some of that feels like you're going off past history, surely. Come on.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, is maybe Ray more valuable right now than
From what I remember, I haven't looked this up, but Maui will have. I'm pretty sure Device's numbers are quite a bit low this year, aren't they? Didn't they have a lot more kind of mid tournaments?
That's my question about the whole thing. Like, what are we looking at right now?
Give him a couple of names. He's picking Zontics instead of it, but give him a couple of names who could have been there instead, Maui. Who were you deciding amongst?
So the people that are beneath Zontics for me were Heavy God, Apex, Woxic, Wycadia, EliGE.
Woxic's an interesting one.
There's like
Nerds?
5 right there.
Where is Nerds? Where is Twists? I don't see him.
Twist is higher than him. I have Twist higher than him.
He's number 15. But where is Nerds, for example?
Nerds was actually out of
There is some Pious.
25.
Where is some Pious?
Right, two things. One, Sun Pius has barely played any lands, and two, Nerds actually had a couple.
Enough.
Nerds has had a couple where he didn't have good numbers. I know. So if we're going off numbers, I know what you mean. Because
the name, a couple of events, right?
Barely any though. It's just for the whole year.
I mean, it has been 5 months barely.
Yeah, and in 5 months, how many maps has he played?
Like, isn't PR better than fucking Zontics?
Gamer Legion has just not gone as deep and.
Oh, you just don't. Yeah. That's
when PR plays versus top, PR plays, when most of these guys play against like the top 5 teams in the world, they just fall off a cliff immensely. Zontics doesn't fall off.
But Jota, for example, he is the one who has been playing a lot of events and being in a lot of playoffs and delivering decent numbers. Why is he not there? Why is Zontics there? That's the hotter take for me. Zontics there, like it's a fucking like. I don't even. It's crazy that he's in top consideration of top 20 right now.
Here's my problem, Kassad.
No value right now at all.
He's
here's my problem. I think Zontics has a problem, which is one, he isn't a really spectacular test player ever. He just kills people. But also, his problem is I always say he's like the worst coin flip player ever for me. But it's not a coin flip as in it's 50-50 if he killed. No. Flip a coin. If it goes heads, he plays well that day. If it goes tails, he just plays like shit. And the problem is, when he plays like shit, it looks really bad. So I think that's why everyone thinks he's not good. Like, here's the difference, Kassad. It's not like he put him top 10. He's put him at the bottom of the top. He put him 17th, for fuck's sake. I think that's reasonable.
Top 20 players on the fucking planet.
He is a good player. He is a good player.
The coin flip is more like this. Is he getting more rounds on CT side? He's a good player.
There you go. That's
Is he
fair.
getting more rounds on T side?
Oh, no, by the way, I also think he's a way better CT player than he is T. Like, he actually has a
you didn't put Brawl on as well. There is no Brawl on here.
No, I wouldn't put Brawl in. I wouldn't put Brawl in.
Yeah, of course.
If Apex barely makes the list, Brolin does not make the list. That's just
just come on.
Put it this way, essentially.
The question still remains. What are we looking at? Like, what is the factors determining the number? Like,
he just said
numbers?
No, he's saying he prioritizes your performance versus the top 5 and the top 10. That's what he's saying.
No, but what? I heard that, but what else? Is it the impact? Is it the overall, like, how complete of a player you are? Like, is it like, do you count in the position?
I'm not counting how complete a player is because I don't really need donk to clutch.
Because I'm trying to justify your Apex, like, top 20 based on how good of a complete player he is, how much impact does he have outside of the numbers of how many kills or whatever he has, like the rotations coming in from the 4 spots that he has, like the prime spots on several maps. Does he help the team win the round by just sheer presence or death in that round because he was on that spot and somebody
you're trying to see it. You're trying to see it in a way that's more like you're a GM building a team.
Yes.
I'm just seeing it in terms of I'm trying to rate the performance of these players.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. Your list would be more for the future of like putting a roster together, but like mine is just like I'm grading what they've done this year, and I'm also I weigh tournaments at different levels. Like, for example, if you did really well at Katowice, that's the premier event of the season, so I'm going to rank that a little bit higher. I think Lisbon was also a very important event for just like prestige this year, or this year so far, so I rank that kind of like second highest roughly, and then tournaments like Melbourne and Dallas obviously matter too. Like, I'm not rating the events that are like, if they're in a studio, I'm not rating them as highly.
If you got some Pious here and maybe, like I said, Nerds or maybe not Device, I guess you're right, but you just don't have them on your list and put Apex as 19, that's, for me, it's a no. Just straight up no.
The problem here is kassad didn't actually entertain your criteria. He just essentially disagrees. So essentially, he took it as he doesn't think Apex is top 20. But I listened to what you said, and obviously what you were basically saying is, by the way, you also hinted at something which people will notice is essentially the lens of the difference in how this show works, which is Maui's hot takes are often based on how did a player literally just play within the last 2 months. That's why he can make a hot take that's good, because it'll be like, big name player isn't that good anymore. No name player is better than him. The problem is kassad will always be like, are you insane? Because he's always thinking, like you say, like a coach of like, if I was making a squad today, what could I get out of that player and what's he capable of? Which is different. You'll notice that's very different from how did you play in the last 3 tournaments. Like, that's why I'll give you an example. The best one ever, you'll notice we've already figured out this is kassad's weak spots. We've already attacked it a million times. All you have to do is take someone like Donk, and you can get kassad to say Nico was better than him. He isn't, but that's because kassad means things like how well-rounded, his experience, what you could do with him in different teams. What did his presence on? But the point is, we're just saying, if we're going off, now he's going essentially off production, translating into numbers, which he's then normalising, deciding in this case that he prefers people who have better performance against the top teams, because that's the hardest level of players, the logic. So in that scenario, even though to me, I'd be with you if we said overall, who historically is the greater player, it'd still be Nico. Right now, it'd be Donk would be the production player, wouldn't he have higher numbers? So by that logic, he's better. But the problem you have in this topic is, I'm sort of like between the two spots, because the way I'm a little bit like kassad is everything Maui explained that he actually like sort of disclaimer of Apex, of the benefits he gets from Vitality. This reminds me of when Glaive got to be top 20. And I always thought, come on, bro. Like, the problem is he only gets to be top 20 because of the other 4 teammates. The difference is, if you do put Nico, Simple Z on any team that, like, assuming the team actually made playoffs, they could be top 20 off what they did. Glaive or Apex could only ever make this list if they have a super stacked super team like this, and then everyone else also plays dope. You notice that's the other thing, Maui. It's not like Vitality's the best team, Ziwu carries, and then Apex added. Like, all 5 players, if people don't know, tend to get like over a 1.0 rating. It happens almost every tournament. In fact, the joke is a bad tournament. Like, you saw all these Vitality players at this tournament being like, yeah, it wasn't our best tournament. That's because, like, Rops was only like a 1.17 or something instead of like that's their world. They live in such a fantasy world that like Flames like having like a 1.1 is like, nah, I didn't really play on my Game Boys, which is like, mate, anyone else would kill to have the 3rd best player at those numbers. So there is that. Lastly, I'll just say this as well. The obvious angle, even though Maui didn't say it is, here's the obvious area in which it's a lot harder for Senzu versus the top 5 than Apex. Senzu has to play against Vitality. You know what I mean? Like, Apex never has to play against Vitality, yeah. So it is easier for Apex in that logic. My problem essentially is, when you were doing this is where I would lean more to the kassad side. Like, as soon as you said those names, I would probably almost do, I wouldn't have put Device. It would be Woxic I would probably put in. Because I'm thinking, mate, how many times have I seen Woxic have to be the X factor to win a game? Or how many times have I had to see him win like a clutch, which on the scoreboard might just show us 2 kills. But it's like a banger clutch that gets you like right back into like a Mirage game or something, or gives you like a breath of life when you should be like losing economically. So I just think when I evaluate the top 20, one of the reasons I don't ever tend to have 4 and definitely not 5 players from one team is I think once you get down to the 4th or 5th of a super dominant team, you're getting all these crazy added effects from your teammates that the other players aren't. Like, when you look at the rest of the top 20, if we go to like numbers 11 and 12, it's going to be people who are like the one player on the list from their team. They just have to giga carry every fucking game.
Usually,
like Santaras, you have to do crazy work to get on this
Frozen.
list. Yeah. Or back in the day, EliGE, when he was on call, like, yeah, I'm sure there's times you would have looked and probably seen that like some 4th best player on top tier had better stats than EliGE for the tournament. With eye test wise, EliGE would win that one. And then lastly, that's also, by the way, Nico's the big name player that kassad you can always get with it. The other one is you can always get him with Rain. Because he's going to do the same thing. Like, yeah, but Rain's all this, that, the other. It's like, yeah, but we're just talking about right now, this month. Like, this month, Senzu can get Rain. Historically, yeah.
Well, I'll ask you this. How is this month Shiro better than Nico then?
Shit, Donk better than Nico.
No. I just said Shiro because I see it on the list, Maui's list. Shiro is number 5.
Oh no, it's not from this month. It's for this year. It's for 2025.
Okay, still.
Yeah. It's for the whole year so far.
Okay.
Same question.
It was me using the shorthand of it being a month. It was me.
Okay.
It was me all along, Aston. It was me all along. Right, I think we do a fan one now. First of all, would you like to have your hot take roasted on this show? Well, two things. One, technically only the take will get roasted if you intentionally say you don't want your username read out. If you don't, I'll read your username out. But what you do is, there's a Last Free Nation Discord. If you subscribe there, among the many perks, you can also ask questions for like League of Legends and other shows. We have a section, CS Hot Takes, where you can submit your own hot take, which might appear on the show, like this take. So Kovora says, Mauisnake must be fired from Hot Take Point Made and replaced with Tech Girl. His takes have not had an appropriate heat, often slightly below room temperature and at best warm. Thorin, at least, I like to wait a minute. That's why I'm reading it and I don't even get full credit. Thorin at least make takes that are contrarian to pleb fans and are therefore hot because they go against popular narratives. Because, listen, just the start of this next sentence already makes me love this take, Maui. Kassad is Serbian, comma, and makes completely unreasonable statements all the time. That's the sentence what Kassad wrote. Meanwhile, Maui's latest take on the last show was that he didn't like when the producers showed spray transfers in slow motion. Who cares? And then listen, the last paragraph goes, Tech Girl is clearly the solution. On broadcasts, she insults her analysts all the time and would be able to deride her fellow hosts effectively for saying stupid trash. She is also clearly deranged enough for this podcast, considering she has mentioned on her own show multiple times that she is still a fan of Fallen. That's it. That's the take. Kassad, I feel like you have to start this one. What do you think of the take? Maui should be fired and replaced by Tech Girl. Thoughts?
I agree.
I love it. I
do agree. I do agree also with the last point that Tech Girl is so deranged, like,
she could be on the show.
Just because she's a fan of Fallen still in 2025. So that's a funny one. Okay. But like, I don't understand my part. Why is just being a Serbian qualifies you to be deranged as well? Is that some sort of a racial thing? I mean, I don't mind it. Like, we Serbians are definitely not your usual kind of people. Like, we have our own ways, and it's kind of strange for other people when they look at us and see what the things that we do and the things that we say. We do think it's normal, and in a normal world they would be normal, but we don't live in a normal world. We live in a world where Kovara, or whatever his name is, we're living there, right? Where like everything needs to be fucking hidden and needs to be like, you know,
repressed.
I don't even know how to. Yes, I don't even know how to fucking say it. But
we live in a society, basically. We live in a society. Okay.
Yeah, a fake society without no real fucking things happening, where people actually avoid real things and just like to fucking pretend that things are not happening around them. That's the world that probably this guy or girl or whatever the fuck he is living at. But he made some good points about Maui, though. Okay. So I guess it balances out a little bit. But overall, he's deranged enough to be a part of this show and be roasted. I can agree with that one.
Okay. I mean, first of all, I'm pretty sure that 90% of my takes, the first time somebody hears the take, they knee jerk and they just go like, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's literally what I get kassad on every single time.
Which you could say is the hallmark of a good take, surely, you know.
But then the reason that he doesn't think they're hot is simply because I just have the level of speech precision and reminder. Okay. I have a bachelor's. I'm a reminder. Yes. I have to go. Hey, I'm fighting this guy, Kassad. I'm not fighting you right now. Okay. Reminder. I have a bachelor's in philosophy from a fucking Ivy League, so I can explain my points with the clarity that ends up convincing you by the end of it. Okay, to the point where it's almost impossible to refute, and then by the end of it, even though in that first 20 seconds you were like, what the fuck, how can that be true? By the end of the 2-minute rant, you're like, oh yeah, that actually makes sense. Okay, so you, Kavara, or Tech Girl for that matter, would not make the take that I make, but it's not only because you don't have the balls, it's because you can't explain things nearly as clearly as I do.
In case of Tech Girl, literally.
Hopefully.
Yes, literally. Yeah, literally.
Yeah. Go on.
Shouts out to Tech Girl, love her. She's great. She's great.
No, that's it.
I'm not going against Tech Girl. I'm not going against Tech
By
Girl.
the way, I actually disagree with this take, and here's why. Because the whole point...
Thank you, Thorin, for disagreeing.
Everything kassad said is basically what annoys him about Maui, but why he's actually an excellent host for this show. Like, if people haven't noticed, that dynamic is what the show's about. Like, here's the one area that this guy's wrong. Look, if Maui, God forbid, doesn't happen, died tomorrow in a plane crash or something, then Tickle is one of the people who could potentially do the show. There's also other people too. The difference is, though, like, one of the things Maui has that Tech Girl doesn't yet is you have to also basically be able to not just disagree, but almost tell the other person to fuck off. So that's not really in her wheelhouse yet. She's still, by the way, she's doing a good job just easing into the community. She hasn't really had any big blow-ups or that. But the problem is, on this show, sometimes we are just like screaming like an old married couple about how the other person's a piece of shit or whatever, and they're making like random allusions to their country and stuff. Like, I don't know that she's going to come in and wade in and do that. I feel like the problem is, the first time she ever said a hot take, kassad would go fucking mental, and then she would just be like, well, I'm retreating back into my shell and never giving a fucking hot take again. That wasn't nice. I didn't enjoy that. Like, so I feel like you've got to be able to take a certain level of flame, to be on this show.
Yeah,
and for now,
you need to ease into it. You need to need to spend years of like community hate towards you and Reddit posts and HLTV and Twitter messages, Instagram messages, and everything to kind of build up to the point where Maui can say, fuck you and your hot take and this is shit. And without feeling,
But here's the giveaway that you're not ready for this show. If you go on hltv.org and you see a thread that says, insert your name, come here, and you go, oh my God, a thread, then you're not ready, because that's something unusual to you. That's like a day ending with a Y for me and Maui during an event. If it's like, Mauisnake, come here, like, that could be any, you narrow it down, that could be 1,000 threads. We get that every opinion. I've already said before, the joke is, like, one of our most loyal viewers is whoever the fuck does those news posts for play.gg. Like, they fucking love our shit, bro. That's like half their job is just writing down what we say on podcasts. But the difference is, you notice they do write it down as though, like, we were doing an interview with their publication. It's always like that, isn't it? Like, Mauisnake quotes. It's like, it's just a quote from this show. But by the way, as long as you keep embedding it, I don't mind it. I'll keep retweeting. Don't worry about it. Keep embedding that motherfucker. And we can keep the symbiotic human centipede shit going on, can't we? Look, listen, I don't have any problem because I've been part of human centipede. As long as I'm on the front, I'm not the one taking the shit in the mouth. They can consume my podcast and spit it out the back. That's all okay. It's all okay. Right, what's another take then? One of you two. Where are we going?
Maui, you do it.
I was just thinking of ways to integrate my top 20 into this. So I don't really have. I mean,
so you're using
takes about my own list
for your personal game.
Kassad, do you have another one? I have another fan one. If not, so do you have another one?
Yeah, go for another fan one.
Okay, we'll do the other. I had a second fan one. By the way, there's loads of takes. I don't pick them all. I obviously pick the best ones. Like that one had to be picked, didn't it? Come on. Like the fact that it didn't just say Mauisnake, but then it had like actual reasons. Like I had about 7 reasons. Like that's pretty good. So here's the other fan take. It's by someone called Breaketh. And by the way, get ready. This is out there, right? FaZe should bench EliGE for broky just for the Austin Major. The cons of this move, you would lose one of your best players. You'd have bad rolls and the gameplay would be chaotic. But the pros, you would have better team chemistry because the team becomes all EU again. Despite broky's poor performance, historically, he performs in playoffs and majors, whereas EliGE seems to dip. Potential to bring back the FaZe magic by having 3/5 of the OG roster. broky isn't the main AWP. Remember, he's having it instead of EliGE instead of Simple. Team will have bigger balls. Simple can't tilt EliGE. I love that he's put in like the most noob take at the end. Like, EliGE might get tilted by something. That was 10 years ago. That was 10 years. Anyway, bring it back. Last point. Even though he put this for cons, he also put it for pros. His last point is gameplay will be chaotic. Exactly the same final point. Okay, so thoughts. Remember, it's not instead of Simple. It's instead of EliGE. So hit me with it. broky instead of EliGE. Only for the major.
He thinks that chaotic team play is something that will benefit FaZe and disrupt other teams. He just disregards the skill, the role, the clash of ops and everything. Yeah. I'm gonna say the only pro for this thing is the tournament for them will be super short and the vacation will be longer. There are no other pros. Everything else is a con. So this guy needs to check himself.
Before he potentially wrecks himself, maybe?
Yes. That's my take, dude. That's my
that's not... I mean, I could even. I have another slight take that I was workshopping. I'd rather just push it to this. Okay.
Okay.
It's
just under your tweets.
Yeah. No. This is this one. Okay. I think this is a prediction that and just feeds into the drama of everything that was happening with the beginning of the major. Is that the players from Bestia will leave their organization by the end of the year. Okay, they're not re-signing with those guys.
Because the implication being it could be their fault, so that's why they're going to leave.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, they're not gonna stick with that group of guys. Like because they threw all this fuss, and now they put themselves on the line. And now, at first, the management from Bestia was doing a great job of turning community sentiment, or to curry community sentiment. They were gaining so much favor, but now it's now like shifted completely the other side. And I think the Bestia players now are going to see that and be like, wow, these guys fucked up. They fucked up. They then got the community on their side. And then it almost whiplashed so hard that now they're against us. So, yeah, I mean, this is just
whiplash or whatever.
Because now everyone's against them and everyone thinks they're wrong.
But why did they go against them? Did I miss something?
Yeah, because the original Bestia CEO guy said we have their visas.
Supposedly he lied.
He said that they were by a date, but then literally he posted the visas and he didn't have them by that date.
One of the dates on the visa posted, I think, was after the day he said they had them.
All right. This is all nonsense. We are talking about the dates like what, 17th of May, 21st May, whatever the fuck. Like, why is that a fucking deadline for fuck's sake? Why does a PGL give the 9 pandas like
because
one day before the media day? They have a deadline to show up on the event. And Blast is like, you need to be fucking 2 weeks ahead. They already had the replacement team, coincidentally from Brazil. They have like the replacement team that can wait till 3 days before the event and still make it to the fucking Austin. Meanwhile, they're just sticking to some random deadline that some fucking pencil-pushing, decision-making idiot in fucking Blast decided it's gonna be a deadline that makes no sense. Why not give them an extension of a week or 6 days?
Okay.
Tell me.
This is completely hearsay.
Tell me the employee of Blast.
This is complete hearsay.
You've now been labelled the employee of Blast. I know. Okay, put that on screen. The editor, put on screen instead of his name now, the employee of Blast while he speaks. Go on.
Yes,
with complete hearsay and disclosure as somebody that gets frequently employed by Blast. I am almost certain this is Valve that pushed that date.
Right.
Because they wanted to release the stickers.
Right.
They're the one that wanted to push the update.
Why not just say so? Why not just say so?
Because no TO wants to publicly go against the hand that feeds them. Like, that's why every single TO is responsible.
I will say, kassad.
What are we saying, man?
Listen,
like, just speaking the truth.
No. But you'll never get a major again. You'll never get a major again if you say this publicly.
I'm not asking him to lie about Valve. Say Valve made us do it this date and this date. Just say the fucking truth. It's on your side.
You'll never get a major again.
You've just nailed why you're Serbian and not American there, mate. Because I would agree with you in theory. I would say let's just be transparent, but actually the way the esports and the world in the West works is all about how things appear and the politics and basically political expedience is what you'd call it. So essentially, I agree with Maui. Like, if you look at the history of the majors, I've heard this has happened with ESL, by the way, that there's times where Valve were the ones who demanded something, but like the TO had to pretend.
You are telling me.
Yeah, all TOs have done this.
You are telling me,
and for the reason Maui said that you're scared that the backlash will mean you won't get.
So you are telling me, Maui, that Valve said, like, listen, the deadline for visas is 17th of May, right? 17th.
I can't. I'm not going to connect.
He's guessing. He's just guessing.
No. I'm asking you a simple fucking question. Can you answer that? Employee of Blast.
I'm not going to further implicate my employer.
This is not a fucking American court. You cannot plead the fifth here.
Yeah, no, this could affect like major chances for all TOs. So I don't really want to keep going. I don't want to go further on this one.
Yeah.
But I think, that's the reading between the lines, and I have not been told anything. I have not been told anything. I'm just.
But then why are you saying that?
Because I've worked with ESL, I've worked with PGL, I've worked with Blast, and all of them, when behind the scenes something is pushed by Valve, no one will say anything.
Does ESL organize the Austin Major? Does fucking PGL or
no? But I know. Again, I'm not going to implicate these TOs.
I'll fix this. I will remind you, the only reason he mentioned it is because he's predicting the players will leave. That's irrelevant to whose fault it was, what could have been done. That's some other shit that you want to talk about because you're on that train. We all get that. It's all good. You can have a different opinion.
But there is a reason, like obviously why he thinks they're going to leave, right? And that reason might be the fact that management fucked up, right? And then I am trying to understand why and how
Put it this way, because we don't even
That's why I'm coming back to deadlines.
We don't even have to go into the weeds of all the deadlines.
I'm just fucking tired of this thing where we are just playing politics and don't avoid saying the truth to the people who actually pay us. The fans are the ones who are paying us, not the fucking blast.
Put it this way, when Maui said
it's the fans and the sponsors because they're watching this, and we have a fucking obligation to tell them the truth.
Oh, do you like the truth, dear kassad? Do you know what a great reason to leave an org would be? That your CEO lied to the public about some facts that were provable, and then he proved his own self.
Absolutely, I don't disagree.
You don't like liars, but suddenly you're on the side of the BESTIA guy. No, he lied.
I am not.
Well, I don't know if he lied. I'm saying allegedly.
If he's fucking lied, they should leave down and they should say he lied.
There's verifiable proof he did.
Okay, that's fine.
So,
he said he had the visas, and the
agree
then? The visa said it was after he said that.
Then you agree.
That guy, if he tried to get the community on BESTIA's side by lying, that guy can go fuck himself.
Then you agree with his take. His take is that they will leave. So you agree.
But it's just like we are not addressing the root of that problem.
I agree. Just this isn't the platform for it, is it?
They are the two different problems, but like they have the same root. So fuck you, Blast. Yes.
Okay. Mauisnake does not co-sign the previous take that was mentioned by Serbian.
The line there.
Yeah. Okay. Now I see why it's so fraught, Maui, in the international community where they're trying to mediate with Serbia and other countries. You know, there's a lot of tempers getting flared, a lot of shouting, a lot of history getting drawn in.
It's just we don't like like we like the truth. That's all we like. Okay. Like even if it's against us, even if it's a fucking terrible truth for us, we would like to have it.
Right, Maui.
We would like to say it.
Maui. We got onto what you might call a tangent or a sidetrack there. It was about fucking broky replacing EliGE for the major. Can I please get your take on that, please?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, no, obviously. I dismissed it so quickly because I'm just like, no, there's just no way that should happen. Like that. It's not even like, because even, you know, my ridiculous take before about like Simple should come in for EMA was like, EMA was doing so badly.
Yes.
Simple would still help them out regardless, like, because I just assume he's going to put up a 1.00 rating at least. And for broky, he was putting up bad numbers with the op. He was messing up rounds in terms of decision making. The vibes of the team don't actually look that bad between EliGE and Simple. That was by the way, user.
That's a meme.
That was a skit. That was a skit. That was a skit. And by the punchline of it was that they were playing Dota together. Okay, like that's the whole punchline of the joke. Like, it's not 2017 or 16. Like these guys have grown up a significant amount. Like they're not, even if they have, you know, negative traits as people do, it's not to the point where it's destroying the team from the inside. So no, I'm not a fan of broky coming in. I don't even think broky's rifle is that sick either. I haven't seen that lately. He's just been kind of off as a player for 6 months.
But let me ask you this, Maui, and I guess you don't. Like, do you think personalities, you both know both personalities? Like, you know Simple, you spoke to him a million times. You know EliGE, you probably spoke to him a million times too. You know their history. Do you really think, just because something was 10 years ago, in case of some other flare happens, that will not, like, kind of add to the fuel or kind of add to the fire or whatever the fuck you want to call it?
Here's why I don't think this is a real take. You know what I think's different, kassad? What I think this guy's ignoring is that Simple's a stand-in. Now, that is everything to me. If they were both full-time players, kassad, then I agree. If there was ever an issue, the reason that can come up is because you're both there forever, potentially. So eventually that's going to come along. And if it starts to be a problem, you're thinking, well, I don't want to be in a team with this guy for 6 months. The difference is, if you're Simple, you're going to be on your best behaviour, mate. Because one, you either want to be in FaZe or you want to be in another team. Like, so I don't think, you know what, it's like the dead team syndrome. The reason dead team syndrome works is because what's the point in arguing if we're going to break up in a month anyway? You know what I mean? So being there's only one LAN left, unless it's really crazy, Kassad. Like, unless they have some scenario where literally EliGE and Simple do the wrong thing in the game, and then EliGE goes, this is just like in 2016, unless like some ridiculous soap opera angle comes. I think that is overplayed. I think that's one of those ones where fans are taking some shit from, like, you know, what they imagine in their fanfic version of the players, and they're just, like, it's basically, that's like the soap opera version of, like, Nico and Monacy love each other or whatever, which I still don't really get what that is, you know.
Yeah, it's just fucking crazy. But I saw the tweet.
It was pretty mad, wasn't it? I know.
It was so fucking funny. But the thing is, like, what I'm trying to say is, like, both Simple and EliGE, they won't back down, even if it's a dead team's situation. Like, in a situation where they are, like, confronted in front of other people, they're not gonna say, yeah, you're right, fuck you, or whatever, I'm leaving, or something. They're gonna keep going at it.
They could do, but I also think it's...
Because the personalities.
Yeah, but I also think the circumstance... Like, first of all, EliGE is trying to prove himself still, mate. He hasn't been at the top for a long time now. I don't think he's got the same ego. In TL, by the way, he knew at that time he was the man. He could get Simple kicked out if it was between him and Simple. Simple's not in a team yet. He's still figuring out if he's coming back. And then lastly, I also think here's the difference that they didn't have a team looking back in the day. They didn't have fucking Carrigan in the room, mate. They used to have little old Nitro who was going like, gee, Willikers, oh no, they're having... The big city slickers are having an argument. Oh, I better stay out of it. Beat a fucking cord out of his mouth or something. Like, he wasn't the guy to come in. Carrigan had just been like, come on, guys, fuck this noise. Why are we arguing about, you know, let's fucking play the game. Anyway, to bring it back, I think this take is actually all universe terrible. And here's why. Because, you know, people say I just go off narratives. No, I use narratives as my way of expressing my actual analysis of the game. That's why I update the narratives. This is what happens if someone only thinks narratives exist and don't watch the game. Because, you know, when he's doing stuff like, by putting broky back in, you are recreating the FaZe magic. No, you're not. The whole point is, I already saw broky when they still had 3/5 of that roster and the FaZe magic was gone. In fact, the number one reason why this take is trash is because it ignores that broky wasn't cut for the style of play. It's that he was really bad at his own style of play. Like, broky already couldn't do the things you're saying he would do now. That's why he got kicked out. Like, the joke is, it is only really people like me and Carrigan and other nutters who are like, maybe Simple could be the peak again. No, the joke was Simple never even had to be Simple. He had to just not be broky. And guess what? He killed it first event, straight out the gates. Already looked way better than, as I said he would, he looked way better than broky, even first fucking tournament. Maybe not in the last map, but oh well, whatever. So I think this is an example of a take where you've taken the narrative, but you've disconnected it from reality. Like, this would be like, for real, me having the take that, like, if, you know, Astralis didn't make the major. Let's imagine Astralis had gotten the last spot for the major. And then I go, well, they're not going to win with this roster. So I think they should bring in Glaive and Dupree, recreate that Astralis magic. Then they start, you know, moving around the map together in a coordinated fashion. Other teams can't. And it's like, yeah, but that takes just some shit from 7 years ago, you know, like it only makes sense in your brain when you're in the fantasy world. Once you connect it to the reality of how those players play now, none of that would happen, would it? Like, they wouldn't even think that way. They wouldn't play that. I get the idea that, like, there's a loose idea, but the broky one's even better just because, like, as I say, I'm pretty sure he was fired because he couldn't do the things you're saying in this post that he would do. So it's a trash take.